If you are a senior traveler and you're planning to fly in 2026, this is one of the most important videos you will watch this year. Not because travel is getting harder, but because it's getting stricter, quieter, and far less forgiving than it used to be. Starting January 2026, new passport rules, ID checks, airline systems, and border controls are going live that don't care how long you've been traveling, how many countries you've visited, or how confident you feel at the airport. These systems don't negotiate. They don't give warnings, and in many cases, they don't allow staff to make exceptions, especially for older travelers. What's catching people out is that none of this looks dramatic. There are no big signs at the airport saying new rules today. Instead, seniors are finding out the hard way at the check-in desk, at security, or right at the gate that something small has changed. An ID they've used for years suddenly triggers a fee. A passport that looks perfectly fine suddenly isn't valid enough. A trip they've taken before suddenly requires a digital approval they didn't know existed. And when these rules aren't met, the outcome is blunt. Boarding denied. This isn't about packing mistakes or forgetting a charger. This is about real situations where seniors are being stopped from flying because of passport expiration windows, new airline seating policies, battery limits on mobility devices, stricter identity checks, and border systems that no longer rely on human judgment. The problem is most of these changes are being rolled out quietly. Airlines assume you know, governments assume you've checked, and the airport system assume that if something doesn't line up perfectly, you simply don't fly. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the new passport and travel rules for seniors starting January 2026, the ones that can actually stop you from boarding. I'll explain what's changed, why seniors are being affected more than other travelers, and most importantly, what you need to do now so you don't get caught off guard later. Some of these rules will cost you money if you don't prepare. Some will cost you time, and a few can cancel an entire trip before it even begins. But every single one of them is avoidable once you know how the system works. So, if you want to keep traveling confidently, avoid embarrassment at the gate, and make sure a passport detail or airline policy doesn't ruin your plans in 2026, stay with me. Let's start with the first rule because this one alone is already costing seniors hundreds of dollars without them realizing it. Number 1. Real ID fees. That quietly costs seniors hundreds. For years, seniors have been warned about Real ID, but many assumed there would always be a workaround at the airport, a warning, a manual check, a bit of extra screening. That era ends in early 2026. Starting February 2026, if you arrive at a U.S. airport without a Real ID compliant driver's license or a valid passport, you won't just be delayed. You'll be charged. TSA now applies a confirm identity fee, currently set at around $45. And here's the part that's catching seniors off guard. That fee is only valid for a short verification window. This becomes a serious problem for snowbirds and longer trips. If you fly out, stay away for more than a week or two, then fly home, that verification window may have expired. That means paying the fee again just to get back. Seniors are already reporting trips that cost them $90 or more purely because of an ID they've used for years. The bigger issue isn't even the money, it's the delays. Paying the fee sends you to a separate line, adds extra screening, and increases the chance of missing your flight. And if the airport is busy, staff are no longer required to rush this process for you. The safest fix is simple but important. If you don't have a Real ID, always travel with a valid passport or passport card. A passport completely bypasses the fee and the extra screening. In 2026, relying on goodwill or manual checks is no longer a safe strategy. Number 2. UK travel approvals that block boarding completely. If you're a senior planning a trip to the United Kingdom in 2026, even just a short visit or even a layover, this rule is critical. The UK now requires most travelers to apply for an electronic travel authorization known as an ETA. While this system technically launched earlier, 2026 is when enforcement becomes strict. Airlines are no longer allowed to let it slide. If you don't have an approved ETA linked to your passport before you arrive at the airport, the airline system will physically block boarding. The agent won't be able to print your boarding pass. There's no override, no payment at the counter, and no fixing it on the spot. What's catching seniors out is how easy this is to miss. Many people assume this is something immigration handles on arrival. It isn't. This is checked at departure, and it applies even if the UK isn't your final destination. Just transiting through Heathrow can still require an ETA. The application itself is digital and must be done in advance, usually through a smartphone app. If you're not comfortable with apps, or if you leave this until the last minute, you can easily find yourself denied boarding for a trip you've already paid for. In 2026, travel to the UK follows one rule only: no ETA, no boarding. Number 3. Passport expiration rule seniors underestimate. This is one of the most common reasons seniors are denied boarding, and it's because the rule feels illogical. Many travelers look at their passport, see an expiration date months away, and assume everything is fine. But many countries don't care about the expiration date alone. They enforce what's known as the 6-month validity rule. If your passport expires within 6 months of your return date, airlines may refuse to let you board. Even though your passport is technically still valid, the airline isn't being difficult. They're protecting themselves from fines and forced return costs if a country refuses you entry. Seniors get caught by this more often because they travel longer, stay with family, or plan extended trips. What looked like a valid passport at booking suddenly becomes a problem at the airport. And here's the frustrating part. Once you're at the airport, there is nothing staff can do. They can't make exceptions. They can't check with immigration. If the system flags your passport as too close to expiration, boarding can be denied on the spot. The safest rule for 2026 is this: if your passport expires in the same calendar year you're traveling, renew it before you go, not after. Waiting until the last minute is one of the easiest ways to lose an entire trip. Number 4. Europe's new face and fingerprint system replacing passport stamps. For decades, entering Europe meant handing over your passport and getting a stamp. A human border officer looked at you, asked a question or two, and made a judgment call. That system is disappearing. In 2026, Europe's new entry-exit system becomes fully active. Instead of a stamp, you'll be directed to a kiosk where your face is scanned and your fingerprints are taken. The system automatically records when you enter and when you leave, and it calculates your allowed stay down to the day. For senior travelers, this change matters more than most people realize. The kiosks are not always intuitive. Screens can be positioned high, fingerprint scanners require firm pressure, and the process can feel rushed when there's a line behind you. What used to take seconds now requires patience. The biggest change is that human discretion is gone. If the system shows you've stayed one day too long on a previous trip, it flags it instantly. There's no conversation, no explanation, and no flexibility. In 2026, Europe's borders are enforced by computers, not people, and seniors need to be prepared for that shift. Number 5. Southwest ending open seating and introducing paid seat zones. For many seniors, Southwest has always felt comfortable and familiar. You checked in, lined up, and chose a seat that worked best for you. That system ends in early 2026. From January 2026, Southwest moves to assigned seating. Instead of choosing a seat when you board, you'll choose it when you buy your ticket. At first, this sounds easier, but there's an important change hiding underneath. Southwest is introducing paid seating zones. Seats near the front of the plane, exit rows, and areas with extra legroom will now cost more. For seniors who prefer the front for quicker exits or easier access, this adds a new expense that didn't exist before. This also changes how boarding works. There's no longer an advantage to checking in early. If you don't select a seat in advance, you may be assigned one automatically, and it may not be where you want or need to sit in 2026. Flying Southwest without planning your seat ahead of time is no longer a safe assumption, especially for seniors who rely on comfort and accessibility. Number 6. Lithium battery limits grounding mobility scooters. This is one of the most serious and least flexible rules on the list. Airlines are now enforcing strict limits on lithium-ion batteries used in mobility scooters and powered wheelchairs. In 2026, many airlines will not allow batteries over 300 watt-hours to be carried at all. For seniors who rely on mobility devices, this can stop a trip before it even begins. Many heavy-duty or long-range scooters use batteries that exceed the limit. If your battery is too large, staff are not allowed to make exceptions. The device will not be loaded onto the aircraft. What makes this especially difficult is that many travelers don't know their battery size. The information is usually printed on a small label or buried in the manual. Discovering this at the airport leaves no time to fix it. The only safe approach in 2026 is to check your battery specifications well before your travel date. If your scooter uses a larger battery, contact the manufacturer to ask about a travel-approved alternative. Waiting until the day of travel is the fastest way to be denied boarding. Number 7. Brazil's visa rules still catching seniors off guard. This rule has already been in place, but it continues to deny boarding to seniors in 2026 because many people still don't realize it applies to them. Brazil now requires a visa again for many travelers, including those taking cruises that stop in Brazil or flying in for short stays. This is not a visa you can get on arrival. It must be approved before you travel, and airlines are required to check it at boarding. What's surprising for seniors is how detailed the application can be. In some cases, you're asked to upload proof of accommodation, travel plans, and even financial documents. If anything is missing or still pending, the airline can refuse to let you board. Cruise travelers are especially vulnerable. People assume the cruise line will handle entry requirements, but that's not how it works. If your itinerary includes Brazil, and you don't have the visa approved, you may not be allowed to board the ship or the flight to reach it. In 2026, Brazil is one of the most common visa denials, and it's entirely preventable if you check early. Number 8. Online passport renewals that don't apply to everyone. Online passport renewal is expanding in 2026, and for many seniors, it's a huge convenience. You can upload a photo, apply online, and avoid the post office entirely, but this is also creating confusion that leads to denied boarding. Not everyone qualifies for online renewal. If your passport has been expired for too long, if it was issued under certain conditions, or if you're applying for the first time, you may still need to renew in person. Seniors often assume the online system applies to all renewals, and that assumption can delay everything. There's also the 6-month validity rule to consider. Some travelers plan to renew after this trip, not realizing their passport doesn't meet entry requirements anymore. Airlines don't care that renewal is easy now. If your passport doesn't meet the rule on travel day, you won't fly. The safest mindset in 2026 is this: if your passport expires this year, renew it before you book or travel. Relying on last-minute online systems is a gamble seniors can't afford. Number 9. Automatic cash refund seniors are finally entitled to. This one doesn't deny boarding. but it protects you when flights fall apart. In 2026, airlines are now required to provide automatic cash refund for significant delays or major schedule changes if you choose not to fly. No vouchers, no credits that expire. Actual money back to your card. For domestic flights, delays of 3 hours or more qualify. For international flights, 6 hours or more. Seniors who decide not to continue with disrupted travel now have real leverage. Why this matters for boarding is simple. Airlines are more cautious about who they allow to board when disruptions happen. If a flight is heavily delayed or equipment changes, knowing your refund rights allows you to make informed decisions instead of being pressured into a bad travel situation. In 2026, seniors finally have financial protection, but only if they know to ask for it. Number 10. Accessibility rights that allow seniors to refuse unsafe aircraft swaps. This is one of the most powerful protections seniors have, and almost no one knows about it. If an airline changes your aircraft and the new plane does not meet your accessibility needs, for example, no accessible restroom, narrower aisles, or missing mobility features, this counts as a significant change. Even if the flight is on time, you have the right to refuse the flight and request a full refund. For seniors with mobility concerns, this is critical. Many travelers feel pressured to board anyway because everything else is ready. But the law recognizes that dignity and accessibility matter just as much as timing. In 2026, seniors do not have to accept aircraft changes that make travel unsafe or uncomfortable. Knowing this right can prevent forced boarding situations and give you control back at the gate.